The UK media is spiralling again, and when I say spiralling, I mean they're twirling so fast they might actually achieve liftoff. You would think something major had happened. A royal scandal, a constitutional crisis, a palace fire. But no. Meghan Sussex stepped onto a movie set, wearing accessories. And that alone was enough to send British tabloids sprinting toward their keyboards like they were competing in the emotional Olympics. It started the second the paparazzi photos dropped. Some grainy shots of her walking, talking, minding her business, and wearing a bracelet. And immediately the Daily Mail newsroom went into full emergency mode. You could practically hear the alarms blaring. Code Meghan, bracelets have been spotted, activate outrage sequence. Suddenly the tabloids were writing headlines with the drama of a Shakespearean tragedy. They weren't reporting news, they were performing. They saw her wearing gold jewellery and reacted like she had personally smuggled the crown jewels out of Windsor in a tote bag. The tone was so frantic you'd think her bracelet was sentient and threatening to overthrow Parliament. Every article read like a frantic diary entry, written at 2 a.m. by someone who just discovered their ex moved on and upgraded. The funniest part is how they always zero in on her wrists. Not her career, not her talent, not the fact that she's filming a Hollywood comedy with actual A-list actresses, something most people would celebrate. No, they go straight to the jewellery like it's the Rosetta Stone of royal trauma. They zoom in on her bracelets with military precision, list the prices, add inflation, multiply by panic, divide by jealousy, and act like they've uncovered the coordinates to the monarchy's doom. Their favourite angle is always the cost. They devour any opportunity to shout, £5,850 bracelet, as if that number alone should cause the British public to riot. Meanwhile, the royals they defend sit on diamonds the size of apples. But apparently Meghan's tiny gold bangle is the true economic threat to the realm. The mental gymnastics could be an Olympic sport. And the watch. Oh, the watch. The moment they clocked that she was wearing the Cartier watch that once belonged to Princess Diana, the tabloids nearly levitated. They absolutely cannot handle that. They act like the watch has spiritual powers and she's using it to summon ancient royal secrets. They jump straight into that passive-aggressive tone they love. Is she sending a message? Is she trying to make a point? What does this mean for the monarchy? It means nothing. She put on a watch. A watch. They need therapy. And let's not forget the cameo itself. Meghan appearing in a comedy is the one thing the British media never wanted to see. Her working, thriving, laughing, living, existing, all without their input. They've spent years constructing a narrative that she's desperate for attention, desperate for Hollywood, desperate for relevance. So now that she's getting actual work, booked because people want her, and not because she's attached to a palace, the tabloids are in full meltdown mode. They hate that she's winning. Not just succeeding, winning. Flourishing in a space where they have absolutely no control. They can't spin her Hollywood opportunities into palace drama, so they fall back on the only thing they know how to do. Write 48 articles about her bracelets like they're decoding a national security threat. And the jealousy is so loud, you can hear it humming in the background of every headline. Meghan being surrounded by huge Hollywood talents, on a sunny set, filming a comedy. The British media sees that and panics because it contradicts their favourite fantasy storyline, Hollywood rejected her. Except reality is showing them the opposite, and they are not equipped for that kind of emotional whiplash. The spiralling turns feral when the royal commentators join in. They get called onto breakfast shows, sit in those awkward studio chairs with mugs they aren't actually drinking from, and deliver their usual lines. This is a calculated move. It's disrespectful. It's attention-seeking. It's inappropriate. They recycle the same tired commentary like the script hasn't changed since 2016. They can't seem to grasp the idea that she is working. They treat every job she takes like it's part of an elaborate conspiracy to destabilize the monarchy. They drag out these bizarre theories that somehow everything she does, from stepping out in jeans to holding a coffee cup, is a targeted PR attack. She films a cameo, They call it strategic. She wears jewellery. They call it provocative. She laughs. They call it smug. She looks serious. They call it sinister. She breathes. They call it manipulative. At this point, she could simply exist in a peaceful state of biological function and still get 5 op-eds calling her controversial. The obsession becomes obvious when you look at how they cover other people in the royal orbit. Certain royals can wear jewellery worth more than suburban homes. Silence. Certain royals can jet around with no purpose. Silence. Certain royals can, shall we say, have complicated friends. Silence. But Meghan wearing a bracelet becomes a full-scale national review. What they'll never admit is that the reason they're spiralling is because they're losing their scapegoat. They've built entire careers, entire columns, entire TV segments based on hating her. And the more she thrives, the more irrelevant their outrage becomes. They need her to fail. They depend on it. But every time she wins, every time she lands a job, every time she lives a life that isn't defined by their hostility, it exposes the weakness of their narrative. They don't know how to function without her as their villain. That's why they cling to these tiny details. A bracelet becomes a symbol. A watch becomes a threat. A cameo becomes a crisis. Because if Meghan isn't the source of drama, then the tabloids have to admit where the real drama in the royal world is coming from. And they absolutely do not want that conversation. The spiralling is a distraction. It always has been. Meghan wearing jewellery is not news. Meghan working is not news. Meghan thriving is not news. But if they can turn her wrist into the main story, they can avoid reporting on actual royal scandals happening closer to home. They turn her accessories into a smokescreen, hiding the mess they don't want the public talking about. And here's the real stinger. Meghan's unbotheredness is the fuel for their chaos. They are triggered by peace. They are threatened by happiness. They are allergic to her glow. The more she looks content, the more unstable they become. It's psychological at this point. They stare at her like, "Why won't you be miserable like we scripted?" The truth is, she left the UK media behind and built a full life that doesn't include them. That freedom is what drives them mad. She walked away from their circus and didn't look back. And now here she is, working with respected creators, appearing in a film that people actually want to see, surrounded by people who respect her. And the tabloids can't stand it. They've lost control of her narrative. They've lost access. They've lost power. And because they can't attack her life, they attack her jewellery. That, right there, is the entire meltdown in one sentence. You know what's even funnier? Meghan doesn't even have to try. She just has to show up somewhere. Anywhere. And the British media performs a choreographed emotional collapse. She's not playing chess. She's literally just living. Meanwhile, the tabloids are on the floor, clutching their pearls and sweating through their suits like she's out-strategizing them on purpose. The spiralling isn't about what she's doing. It's about what her existence reveals. That she's thriving outside their reach. Her happiness is their kryptonite. Her success is their unraveling. Her peace is their downfall. And the more they spiral, the more obvious it becomes that she's not the problem. She never was. They are.